Hey guys, it's Maymay, and do you remember these? I hope that you do. This is the 6x6 paper pad storage container that I made recently, and this is the 6x8. If you want to see how to make these, I have a video we will put in the iCard above and link in the description below for you. But these caused you guys to ask me to do something else. So many of you, I cannot even tell you how many comments were, give us 12x12, give us 8x8. Well, I've done it. So let me show you what we've done. So here it is. This is the 12x12. Okay. Now, what makes this one different? Of course, it's larger, but also, so many of you said you'd like a pocket. I gave you a pocket in this one for your scraps. Okay. And we'll show you how that works as we get to assembling. But I'll say this to you. Okay. This guy is not like the super most sturdiest thing I've ever made. And I was like, maybe we don't want this. But then Shannon and I realized something. This is what I'm storing my 12x12s in now for the most part. Some of them I have in sturdier containers, but for the most part, I just have them in this. And this isn't sturdy either. This guy rips, the tape comes off. So this will be better than this. So I'm pretty happy with it. Now, you also asked for the 8x8, and I did make it for you, and we're going to show you that in this video. I did not put a pocket in this one, but you can the same way we do this one, okay? I didn't put a pocket in this one because with these 8x8s, I feel like they kind of make their own pocket like this. This one is a little more roomy, so I thought a pocket made some sense in there. All right, let's get started by making the 8x8, and then stick around. I'll show you the 12x12 right after. All right, so we're going to start with the 8x8, all right? And this is a really cool one and easy to do. Takes one piece of 12x12, and here's how it goes. You're going to take a piece of 12x12 and you're going to score it at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 10 1/8, 10 5/8. Don't worry, all these images are going to be in the blog post so you'd have them for later, okay? Now, these other numbers you see on the sides here are going to be pencil marks. You're going to need to make a mark at 7/8. I'll mark it 11 1/8. I'll mark it 5" on the side down here, and I'll mark it 5" on the side here. Then we're going to turn it, and you're going to make a score mark at 8 and 8.5. Now, I'm going to show you doing that, so it's not difficult at all. I'll show you real quick. So let's do our score marks first. We're going to score at 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 10 1/8, 10 5/8. Now I know I dislike eights too, but this, because of the way we're laying an 8x8 piece in here, we got to have a little bit of room. Now, while you're here, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make these pencil marks. I want you to mark the 7/8 mark right there. Go ahead and mark your 11 1/8 mark. And while you're right here, mark your 5" on the side. All right, see how I did that? Now, when we turn this in our scoreboard and we do our 8" and our 8.5" score mark right here, so 8", 8.5. We can now make our 5" pencil mark over here without having to do any fancy measuring or pulling out a ruler or anything like that. So now we got our 5" marks, we got our little short marks over there, and all our score marks are done. All right, look at this really quick. This is what we're cutting away, just like we did the 6x6 ones. We're going to cut those little flaps away. So we'll just grab our scissors, and I'm going to cut my score mark completely away and get that whole flap out. Now we need to fold and crease all of our lines. Now we're going to go to our trimmer. Now, this is the first time we've made 2 pencil marks on our pieces. Normally we just make 1. The reason I did this is I didn't want to cut from here down to here and lose this kind of glue area I had right here, this weight. I wanted to keep all this weight. So that's why we did those 2 pencil marks. We're going to put them into this trimmer, and I'm going to put my 5" pencil mark at the bottom on my cut line and my little 1/2" one up here at the top. I think it was a 7/8. And then I'm going to put my blade down and cut that away. That's going to give me that angle at the top like I like, because I think it lets me see more of the paper pack. But I'm not going to lose all of that weight down there. If I had more width to glue to, like in our 6x6, we have like another 1.5 inches, 2 inches on this side. But because I had so little, I didn't want to lose any of that. Okay, so now what we do is glue. This is pretty easy. So now we see where our glue is going to live because look what we did here. We measured this to go to that spot. So what I can do is take my glue and run it right here in this the rectangular area. Go ahead and do both sides at the same time. And again, this is, I say again, because in the 6x6, it's the same. This is not what really holds it together. What really holds it together is when we wrap this guy around. So you just want to get this tacked. You don't have to spend too much precious time on it. I'm going to get that there like that, and then bring this one over like so. Get it tacked down as well. Then you've got it like that. So I'm going to flip it up, and I'm going to rub it down with my bone folder. Or let me show you. This one's a little longer. Use your ruler in there just to press that down. And some people were telling me again, or they were telling me they're putting their pads inside to press. You can do that too. Load this up with paper inside of it, and that'll work just fine. All right, now we're going to glue these edges and wrap them around. To me, this is what really holds this one together, is what we wrap around the side here, because to me, this gives it a lot of stability. And again, you can lay this down, grab your ruler, stick that in there and press with it on both sides. And this is your 8x8 holder. Let's put some cardstock in it. So this is an 8x8 from Graphic 45. It's a little taller because at the top they give us that decorator strip, so it will hang over, but I'm not too worried about that. And that is my storage for 8x8. Now, as good as this one is, I'm really excited about the 12x12. Let me show you that one. This is the 12x12. It's very, very similar to the other, okay, with one difference. Because of how big this one is, I added a pocket inside. Now, some of you are going to be thrilled because so many people in the last video were like, it needs a pocket. Here's a pocket. You're going to see how I'm going to do it. If you want to add it to something else, you can. But this whole back section is a pocket to hold scraps. And then the whole front section is where you can put your regular 12x12. Now, here's the thing. We made this from 12x12 cardstock. So that means I can only get it as wide as 12x12, but I'm going to show you what I did to make it happen. And I got to be honest, it's pretty nice. We stood this up on our bookshelf and I'm like, I can see why people really wanted this. Now, another thing I'll tell you about the other ones, let me tell you this real quick before we get started. So many people are like, oh, it needs a label, or oh, it needs something different. You can do anything you want with this. The reason I did not label these is because I don't plan for them to always have the same paper pad. I plan to change this pad out once I've used this one and put another one in. I want them to be generic. But for those of you who maybe don't go through paper as fast as me, a lot of viewers on our Facebook group, Maymay made it, and so did I, were standing these up on a bookshelf and then writing on the side or either making a label of what was inside of it, which is a cute thing to do too. Okay, so you make this your own. Today I'm going to show you how to do this one. Now, before we start making this, I want to preface by saying this. This particular one is not going to be for everybody. It's pretty big, and for me, it uses more cardstock than I would really like for it to, but I do like it when it's finished. Okay, so you're going to need 3 pieces of 12x12 to do this, and we're going to use every bit of this. I suggest you use cardstock you don't like, cardstock you don't know how to use. Maybe you were gifted some cardstock that's not really your style. Maybe you buy those multi-pack colors and there's like 3 or 4 colors that are not your thing. Maybe you buy 12x12s and there's just certain pages you don't know what to do with. To be honest, if you don't need all your cut aparts, it's a great page to do that with too. So 3 pieces of 12x12 is what we're going to start with. Now, I have made designs, or I've made score marks for you guys on cardstock for you to see, and I'm going to load these into a blog post so you can have these images. That'll all be linked below. Okay, all right, so this is how we're going to score our first piece. Now technically this is your second piece because the first piece we don't do anything to. We need one piece that stays 12x12, but on this piece what you're going to do, and by the way, I'll have these images all on the blog post that'll be linked in the description. So you'll be able to see all the images I'm sharing with you. Okay. All right. So we're going to score it 1 1/4, 1 3/4. This is a cut line. We're going to cut this, but not at first. We're going to go ahead and do our scores first. Then we'll come back and cut it. Then we've got 10 1/4 and we've got 10 3/4. Okay. So let's do our scores and then we'll cut. All right, so we've got our piece in our scoreboard. We're going to score it 1 1/4, 1 3/4. We're going to come out here and do 10 1/4, and then 10 3/4. Now, this is the sheet we need to cut in half, so I'm going to cut it in half real quick. So put this into the trimmer and slice it at 6 inches. Now, another thing we want to do to this piece, we want to make a couple of pencil marks here. So your score marks are out here on the side. Okay, let me bring the piece over you can see. Score marks are out here on the side. This is where we just cut. I want this guy to have a slight angle in the middle like our 6x6 holder did. So what we're going to do is from this cut line or from this area, we're going to measure back 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch and just make a little mark. So I'm going to do it like this. This is my score mark. I'm going to come over here and lay this at 1/2 inch on my trimmer, and I'm going to make a mark where that cut line is right there, 1/2 inch. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So just make a 1/2 inch mark on the side that we cut in half. Now what we're going to do with that is cut that angled cut. And what I'll need to do is turn my trimmer where you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So pencil mark to bottom corner, we're going to put on our cut line. So I need to lift this guy up a little bit. He hangs over the edge just a little bit down here. So you see I've got pencil mark in the cut line and I've got bottom corner in the cut line. And now we're just going to cut this away. I'll sink it and you'll see what we did there. Honestly, this is not necessary. Okay. We're taking such a little bit off, but I do kind of like getting it kind of wider at the top to be able to have a little bit more space. We're giving ourselves an inch more space with this little piece, but it's better than nothing. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same on this guy. If you're using a pattern paper, you're going to need to pay attention to this angle. And let me show you what I mean. Let me make this cut really quick. So I have cut these the same. Let me show you what I mean here. I have these cut in the same direction, but because they're solid paper, I'm just going to turn this one over so that my angles work like they're supposed to. Okay. But if this was pattern paper, you'd want to make sure you took your angle from the right side. Okay. Or the correct side, not right, correct side. All right. Okay. I'm going to fold and crease these guys. Now, I created this to show you that it's one piece of 12 by 12, but what we're going to do first with our next piece is go ahead and cut it in half, okay? So your next 12 by 12, we're going to cut in half at 6 inches. Let's do that real quick. So just put this in, cut it in half. Then I'm going to go back to my scoreboard. Now, you can do the scoring with your scoring blade from your trimmer, but I'm going to do it on the scoreboard because I think it's easier to follow. All right, we're going to take one piece to start with. And I'm going to go back to our little demo here and show you. I'm going to show you just half of it, okay? So all you have to do here is score from top to bottom 1 1/4, 1 3/4. Okay, that's all we need to do. So put this in 1 1/4, 1 3/4. All right, so this is what you're looking like, okay? We just did that piece. Put that one with your other scored pieces. Then we're going to take the other half. This is going to be our pocket. And we're going to put it here like this, and I'll show you how we're going to score it. We're going to score it 1/2 inch all the way around, okay? And then we're going to make these little cuts. So we'll score it 1/2 inch, and then we'll score at 11 1/2. Then we'll turn it and score at 5 1/2. Oops, roll my paper up, okay? So now that we've got that scored, let me show you what we're going to do. Here at the bottom, where these guys intersect, we're going to do an angle cut across and get rid of that corner. So all I'll do is pick this guy up and go an angle across just like this, okay, and get rid of that corner. We're mitering this corner so it'll lay nicer in our container. Okay, let's do some folding and some creasing. So we'll fold this guy in. We'll fold all of these and crease them down. If you don't want a pocket on the inside of your container, I think this bigger one, it makes sense to have a pocket. I don't really see the need of my smaller one, but I do in this one. But if you don't want a pocket, you can always use this for your next storage container that you make, because the piece we just did that was on top of this page, let me show you what I'm talking about so it makes sense. this piece that's going to turn out to be the bottom of our container is the same size before you score it. So if you just want to make 2 out of this sheet instead of a pocket, you can move on and make another container with less paper, less cardstock. All right, so for this one, let's fold and crease. Okay, before I go to assemble anything else, I'm going to go ahead and put glue here. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do this with sticky tape like I'm going to do, or you can do this with wet glue. Either way works fine. I just thought this is a good place to use some sticky tape, so let's do it. So only on the little gusset pieces, okay, we want to apply tape. The reason this works here is because it's gusseted. So paper won't slide in and out and hit this. This will actually be kind of hidden in our little folder. All right, I'm going to burnish this down, and then I'm going to go ahead and peel the little backer off. Now, to the 12 by 12 piece that we didn't do anything to, this is the number 1 piece, we're going to come down to the bottom of it, okay? And I'm just going to eyeball center this pocket along the bottom of the container. You do not have to have it flush. It can actually be up a little bit if you'd like, but that pocket is now installed. That easy, okay? Let's now install our sides. So these are my sides. You can see at the top, my angles go wide and they go in at the bottom, okay? The way I'm going to attach these, you can do this with sticky tape also because it'll be fine, but I'm just going to glue these on, okay? I know this is hard for you to see on camera because it's so big. I'll do my best here, okay? So on this larger flap, this 1¼ flap, I want you to apply your glue. Just like that, okay? And then on this side of our score line, we're going to attach this to the side of our full sheet of 12 by 12. So I'm just lining that score line up, and you can even like fold it and press it up against it to make sure you're getting it where it goes and make it flush at the bottom, and then rub that down. And I'm going to turn this where you can see what I've done. So here's our pocket, and we've glued this piece, and our angle comes in at the top and gets wide at the bottom. And on the back, it looks like this. Okay, we just glued it down. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so let's bring this over. Our other angled piece, open it up, apply glue to the flap. To the side of our large piece, we want to put our large piece, our full sheet of 12 by 12, to the score mark. Glue that down. And again, you can just kind of fold that over and get that pressed. Okay, so this is what we've got. I'll show you from the bottom. This is our little spine area. This is our pocket, okay? Now, this is going to be what pulls everything together. This is that piece we did that didn't have the angle cut. It's for the bottom, okay? We're going to apply glue to our flap just like we did the sides. This guy is going to get glued to along the bottom, okay? So I'm going underneath the whole piece. So I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to center it in between my score marks, and I'm going to make sure my score line goes right to the edge of our full sheet. And there we go. It did. And you'll see here, it's in between. Do you see how the spine is clear? That's in between. Okay. All right. So get that pressed down good. Kind of big. It's 12 by 12, but it won't be too big, too long. Okay. Now these guys come over just like this, and they're going to create that kind of folio side, right? Like a spine, like we do for the folios. Now, what I did for mine to put them together, when you fold this up, what's important is your pocket is going to stick up higher than this piece, which I think is important because when you're trying to get something out of it, it's a lot easier to be able to see the pocket than to have it tucked down in there. And then what I did for mine, because this is so much larger than the 6x6, I took this guy like this and lined him up and made a pencil mark so I would know where to apply glue. So right here, lining him up, making a pencil mark. So I know underneath this pencil mark, can you see those marks? Not really, can you? But there's one right there and one right here. Now I know where I can put glue. So I will go just like this. Now, some of you guys said when you're making your 6x6, what you did to make this easier is you put your pad inside and let it hold the page up while you glue down. Won't quite work for this because I made this one 1/2 inch just like we did the others, and 12 by 12 pads typically aren't 1/2 inch thick. But this one's so big, you can get your hand in it real easy, okay? So I just got up in there and pressed, and I'm going to flip it over and press it in a minute too. And I should have put this glue in already. Don't do what I just did here. Put your glue in before you get to this point. Like leave it, put glue into both sides before you close it up. I just got excited. So apply glue to both sides before you close one, and then just close them at the same time. I got excited on this one. All right, I'm going to flip it over, stick my hand in there and press. And that is your 12 by 12 with a pocket. Okay, let's put some 12 by 12 in it. So this is my Through the Trees pack from Crafter's Companion. And this, listen, 12 by 12 is going to fit. Okay, you see that? It fits. But we can still see what we've got in here. And you can see it's nice and contained. And you have plenty of room with that pocket in the back to put all the scraps in it like we did in the other one. Like we did in this one. I've got plenty of room back here for scraps. See my pocket? And it's really not that hard to put your paper in past that pocket, which is good. And then you can see you could label the edges if you wanted to. All right, you guys, there you go. Are you excited? Maybe so. Again, this one's not like the most sturdy thing I've ever made, but it is pretty good. And by the time you get it made and you maybe stand it on a bookshelf or put it into a crate or a container, it still does its job. And if you think about like a file folder, it's just as sturdy as a file folder, and we use those to separate paper, right? So make one, see what you think. And if you don't think it's for you, I totally understand. These guys, the smaller ones, are really good and sturdy, and I think these will hold up for a really long time. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for asking me to do these. If there's something else you have in mind you'd like for me to make or create for storage, tell me in the comments below. I love your ideas for that. Like we did in the 6x6, look, I'll show you all the whole family of them now. Like we did in the 6x6, I would put my ephemera and stuff in the back behind the paper pad. Same here. But if there's some other thing you need storage for, let me know. Maybe I can figure something out using some of our cardstocks. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give me a big thumbs up. And until next time, bye now.